Hello, my name is Jordan Bunch, the host of the Film Mavericks podcast, and today is another Film Critique Friday. This is the second episode that we have done on our YouTube channel. If you are on the Wedding Film Academy group on Facebook, then you have seen me do a bunch of these videos, but we have transitioned, and now these will always be on our YouTube channel. So if you're liking these videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification. Go ahead and give us the thumbs up. You're going to love this one. This is a really special one I have for you here today. You don't want to miss these film critiques because they are all about helping you improve your filmmaking. And I think these style of videos is a great way to do that because we can really dissect what these different filmmakers are doing. Sometimes we're doing filmmakers who are more at a beginner level. Other times we have much more advanced filmmakers. Today, I think it's something you're really going to love. This is a fantastic film, and it's something that's really different because this was actually a styled shoot. So if you don't know what a styled shoot is, basically this is when a bunch of vendors get together, usually wedding vendors, who get together that just want to show off their stuff, show off what they're capable of in their sort of dream scenario. What could they put together? And so for this shoot, they had a planner, a venue, a photographer, a florist, a rentals company, a hair and makeup artist, a dress, groom accessories, the suit, and then they had two models that came in along with the filmmaker Juniper. So this is Mike Dalton from Films by Juniper. He's in St. Louis, Missouri. He's been only filming weddings for a little over 2 years, which I got to say I'm really impressed by the work that I'm seeing, that he's only been doing this for 2 years. Fantastic. He writes that this shoot was filmed by a few St. Louis wedding vendors. I mentioned what category those people were in. He said the main idea was to showcase their products and services within a wedding day setup. This was shot on a GH5 with various vintage lenses. And also a shout out to Tom O'Bedlam for the voiceover. Because it was a styled shoot, there's not a whole lot that you could really do in regards to a story, kind of the content that's there. And so he made a great choice by finding a cool voiceover to use and then really shooting the B-roll to kind of build a little bit of a story out of this, even though it's just a voiceover and two models. But I think you're going to find this is super cool. So this is different too because this is sort of a cross between a wedding shoot and a corporate shoot, right? And that's something I want to do some of in this series, is do both weddings as well as corporate work. And this is kind of a cross between those two worlds, right? Because the subject is wedding themed, but he did this as a sort of a B2B, business to business relationship. And so technically this is a corporate shoot. And also it sort of came with a lot of the benefits of a corporate shoot where you really have a lot more control over the situation. You can reshoot things if you want to. If you miss something, you can reshoot it. You've got, I don't know how long they had that day, but on the style shoots that I've done back in the day, we had, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours where we're just hanging out there at the venue. Lots and lots of time to kind of reshoot, to really think a lot more about composition and lighting and camera movement. And so if you're going to do a styled shoot, I think it's a great way to build relationships with other vendors. It's also a great way to sort of stretch yourself creatively and think about some different things that you could do and kind of get out of maybe a creative rut that you've been in, and do something that's really different to really stretch your director skills. But also to have some work that these other vendors are going to want to share, and maybe that gets your work out there. So it's a great thing for lots of reasons. Typically, you don't get paid for these. It's kind of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of situation. If you're interested in styled shoots, I don't know if he was paid for this one or not, but like I said, probably not, because that's just the way that styled shoots usually work, because you're just kind of doing favors for other people in the industry. They're doing a favor for you, I guess. Hopefully the favor is that they're sending business your way. But it's a great thing to do, especially when you're getting started. He's been in the business for just a couple of years, and so building those relationships super important in those first several years. I mean, throughout your whole career, but especially in those first couple of years, to really show those other vendors what you're capable of, but also show them your personality, show them, that you're a person that they would enjoy working with. So great all around. Let's check this out. This is a really cool piece, really different from anything that we've reviewed before. And again, it's because of those elements I talked about, where it's sort of a commercial film, but it's just wedding themed. So as an example, if this was, I'm one of the judges for the WPPI filmmaking competition, and if this were to be put into a category, I feel like they'd have to put it into the commercial side, even though it's wedding themed, because this is not a real couple. They are not getting married, to my knowledge. Maybe they are getting married, but they are not this is not their wedding day. Okay. Anyways, let's check this out.
I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart.
This is such a cool intro. I love everything about this intro. Cool models, obviously look fantastic, so everybody did their job well on this shoot. I love this wobbliness to this opening. It sets the tone, this first shot.
I carry.
It's this handheld wobble effect that they've done here. Looks really cool, and it's very different. I hear the wind. The sound design is really cool because I hear this wind, and then I have this wobble that goes with it, and so just something about that just sort of brings me in. The couple standing there, they're just soaking themselves up in the wind. He's done a great job of directing them. And that's something that, as wedding filmmakers, I know can be a struggle, because our minds are clouded by the million things that have to be done on a wedding day, that sometimes during this couple portrait session shoot, we don't really think about directing them. And so he's really had a specific idea of what he wanted to do here, and then he directed them in a way that would accomplish that. And this is a great example of that. So they're here on a city block. They're closing their eyes, lifting their heads up, close together. They're probably holding hands. I can't see their hands, but I imagine they are holding hands. You hear the wind blowing, the camera's wobbling, and you just sort of feel that they're soaking in this moment that they're in. And that's matched up with this voiceover beautifully. So let me start from the top again, because I love this intro.
I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart.
I'm going to stop again. I also love about these quick cuts with the sound design that sort of help me transition. I hear like a faint, distant laughter as they're running quickly down the street. It's very fast paced. After this, we get this slow moment in the opener, and we sort of feel that something special is happening. And then we get to see some fun, excitement, some energy, and the sound design supports that so beautifully. And it looks like we're going to get to sit back again. It calms down.
Anywhere I go, you go.
That calmness that happens. It's again this pacing. There's ebbs and flows to it. There's a dynamic of peacefulness in the midst of excitement and energy, and it's that back and forth that keeps me engaged throughout. I want to know what's going to happen next. And now he staged a bride coming down the aisle. So this is cool. And we even get to see him sort of moving his lips. He's obviously really excited. He's a cool looking dude too. I have to comment on this. The venue is called Wild Carrot. And look at the groom's hair. He is Wild Carrot. He's the embodiment of wild carrot. So they picked the perfect model for this. This is hilarious.
My dear. And it's you are whatever the moon has always meant.
Okay, I'm going to say something else about frame rates here. This is how you mix frame rates. This is a fantastic mix of 24p and 60p slowed down to 24p. And it's beautifully done. He's doing it intentionally. It's not random. There's not randomness to it. It's 24 when she's coming down the aisle over the shoulder shot, right? And so we get to see in real time what that looks like. We get to see sort of his excitement happening in real time. But then we get these B-roll shots that sort of slow us down, that look into the beauty, in this case, of the flowers, the decor, and those things that are important because this is a styled shoot, remember? And at the same time, then we're drawn back into the couple, and that's what keeps us interested throughout the whole time. But it's also important because somebody has done the hair and the makeup here. Somebody has done the styling. Somebody's put these earrings on this model. Somebody's put this, this coat or whatever she's wearing over the top of her. So these are all important elements for the styled shoot. But he's doing it in this way that gets us engaged throughout the whole time. And this is a short video. It's 1.5 minutes. This is beautifully done. Going back to the frame rates, we get back into this moment, this sort of intimate moment with the couple where we've gone away from that B-roll and we're back into this intimate moment. And now we're in 24p again in this handheld look, and it just feels sort of raw. And I love that about this.
And whatever a son will always sing is you.
I'm going to go back, make a comment on this. I'm going to watch this once more before I comment on that.
And it's you are whatever the moon has always meant. And whatever a son will always sing.
Okay, so he's racking focus throughout this. And I really like things to be in focus. I really like my subject to be in focus. And I am usually a harsh critic of things when they're not in focus. But I will say, here, I think it works. And the reason I think it works is because he's going for a more raw, organic mood here. This couple is the venue's called Wild Carrot. The groom is Wild Carrot. I mean, look at his hair. The bride has that same sort of sense of adventure to her. Clearly, that sort of rawness is what they're trying to accomplish here. And so for something like that, those imperfections can actually work to your benefit. So having that out of focus shot, having it where the focus moves in and out of hitting the subject, I think in this situation it works. And I don't know how many times I've ever said that, but I think it works here.
Is you.
Beautiful shot of this bride. She's stunning already, but I love the way the light falls from light to shadow here, the way that she's side lit, and I think she's beautifully composed, where we're getting to see the flowers. Again, that's important for this. We have to remember that we do have the subject of the bride and the groom, but it's very important for this shoot that the subject also be the decor, everything else that went on with the wedding. So these flowers are really important to the florist to be showed off here. The arches that go in the back, maybe that's important for the venue. So all these things are really important that we see this overall, the details, but we also have this cool story that keeps us engaged throughout. And then we have strong composition. I love this. Having the symmetry that's going on in this image is beautiful. The arches on either side, she's perfectly framed in the center of the frame. The way that the light is falling off is beautiful. I don't mind at all that it cuts off the top of her head. I think it just fills the frame in a beautiful way. Her eyes come right across through that upper third line. It's just beautiful.
Here is
And then coming back with a shot of the groom in the same way. Yeah, it works.
the deepest secret nobody knows.
If this couple's not together, then they are good actors, because I believe it. I believe that that they love each other. This shot where they're out there in the wind and the hair's blowing in their face, I wonder if they shot it first the other way, and the groom's hair was just blowing all in her face because his hair is wild. But anyways, they positioned them correctly there so that the wind would blow away. That's something you have to think about. Typically, it's the other way around. You're having to think about the bride's hair blowing in the groom's face or blowing in her own face. But thinking about the positioning of how you put them relative to the wind can sometimes be really important.
The secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the sky of the sky of it.
Again, we have a shot of the sky. It's not important for the purpose of the video, except the B-roll talks about it. The voiceover talks about it, and so he's not like trying to oversell. He's not trying to make it a sales pitch, but it is. And so that's the cool piece there. When you're making commercial pieces, usually, well, not usually, but a lot of times, you don't want them to feel too much of a pitch. You want to just feel like good content. That's what this is, just good content. And I'm going to find out that, oh, well, this florist did that, and this was the dressmaker, and, here was the filmmaker. So, so mixing in these other pieces that have nothing to do with the shoot otherwise are great. I also really like what he's doing with these double exposures. It brings like both the intimacy and the excitement of what's happening. Like we have the street moving, and over the top of that is, I think this might be a triple exposure he's done here. Let me watch this again.
The root of the root, and the sky of the sky of a tree called.
Oh, I see what's happening. It is a double exposure. They're running on the ground. The bride's dress is falling out, and then you have a very, very tight shot. I mean, we're talking nose to chin shot of the bride and the groom's holding her, and she's just got the biggest smile ever on her face. And it's a cool way to transition when we're using these sound effects. It just, again, it keeps me engaged in a different way than what I'm used to with a wedding film.
Which grows higher than the soul can hope. And this is the wonder.
This is an interesting one here. I'm going to cut back to this. So this is important again for the venue because this is a styled shoot, right? So I need to see that the venue has this stairs with this loft above it. It's got the brick wall. So all these things are really important for the venue. This is an interesting sort of lighting scenario here, right? You have the windows that are coming in. They're blasting air from this side and creating a 5800 Kelvin light. Then you got candle light. I don't know if he lit it with another source here or what that was, but we have this dramatic difference on screen right is very blue, on screen left is very orange. Very tricky thing to balance here. I don't really care for this shot, and I think it's because of that, and because we're sort of shooting up at the bride, which is less flattering. So this is definitely, to me, this is sort of he's also. I think I'm wrong about that light source now. I don't think that's the window lighting up the right side of her face. I think he's using a bluer light here because the reason I say that is because you see very hard lines on her face. I can see very hard shadows on the leaves hitting the wall. This is definitely a smaller light source than a window. That's why I'm not digging it. Okay. It's the mix of, and it's not that I don't like hard light. I do often use hard light, especially at weddings. I like hard light. I prefer, for brides, I prefer soft light, but we don't get that option with weddings. 90% of the time if we're bringing our own light, because we can't bring a huge soft box in to light a bride. But if I was going to do this and bring in my own light source, which it appears that he did, based on what I'm seeing, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I would try to balance that color better. To me, it just feels weird. And maybe that's just personal preference, but something about it just feels off.
And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart.
I'm trying to figure out how to even accomplish this shot, what this is. It's out of focus on purpose. And it's also shaky on purpose. It looks like, man, I don't know. It appears that they're in some sort of a snowstorm or something. I don't know what this is going on here, but it's a cool look. Yeah, I wish I knew more about how and what this was. Maybe they're standing against a big white wall or something. That's got to be what this is. He just put them out of focus. He's obviously put some sort of texture over the top. It's also probably a lot of it's the quality of the vintage lenses that we're seeing. He obviously likes that sort of imperfect quality that comes with these vintage lenses.
The wonder that's keeping the stars apart.
I like this. I like the soft window light. You're facing the couple towards that window light, which is a good choice so many times, including this one. I think it works great here. The light just wraps around them and then falls off beautifully. Looks great. I don't care for this shot either. It's in the same place. I think it's for a lot of the same issues. Clearly, we have a super hard light. I mean, look at his shadow here. So I'm sold that this is definitely his own light here, and it's blown out a lot of detail on like her face and dress, starting to blow out. But also, they're just sort of awkwardly posed here. This looks like a shot that the photographer set up, and maybe it looks cool as a photo. To me, it just doesn't look very good as a video. It's like, what are they doing? I don't know. They just feel awkward standing there. A lot of times the shot, it's not always the case. Sometimes the shot the photographer sets up works great for video. A lot of times it doesn't. And for me, that one just doesn't work. This is a cool shot. We get to see all the stuff that these vendors are showing off. So that looks great. We get to see the venue and the cool brick walls and all the florals and the candles, and looks really cool. And now there's more intimacy going on here with the couple. The fact that they're lit here by the candles, it looks great. I don't mind that, their skin tones are so warm because the light sources these candles, so that looks great.
I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
This is something the designer should have probably noticed, but his tag is still on his suit. Maybe they had to give it back or something. But anyways, he's got a label on his suit. That's nothing to do with the video, really. We get to see more of the venue here. Again, an important piece of all this. Let's keep going. Oh, that's the end. Cool. Well, that was really well done. I loved it. I think you did a fantastic job. I am curious. Actually, after this, I'm probably going to go watch some of your other stuff because I'm curious if this is sort of the style that you shoot your weddings in, how this relates, how similar or not it is to your weddings. I'd be very interested in finding out. So I'm looking forward to that. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification because you don't want to miss a video. I might be reviewing one of yours if you submitted them. If you have not submitted one and would like to, then put it in the description below and hopefully, potentially, we'll get to one of your films. We're going to try to do these every week. So we'll be getting to a lot of these. If you have questions for me or for the filmmaker, put them in the comment section below. If they're for me, I will definitely answer any of those questions. I will be very active in the comment section, so you're going to want to be involved. So check that out. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you don't miss another video. That's all. Peace.